Hey guys, I hope you're all doing great today. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you how I created this eyeshadow look right here using the beebeauty London Barbarella Eyeshadow palette. I got this palette from my Boxycharm Luxe box for the month of March. And today I'm just going to show you how I created this look. And I'm also going to give you some swatches and a little review of the palette. So if you want to see that, then just keep on watching. Okay guys, here's a closer look at the palette. This is the packaging, really pretty. You get a really nice size mirror in here. We have a total of 20 eyeshadows. Most of them are shimmers, which is very surprising. And as you can see in the swatch here, a lot of these shimmers look almost identical. So you do not get a lot of variety in this palette, but let's go ahead and get into the tutorial. The first thing I'm going to do is prime my eyelids using the NYX eyeshadow base in the shade white. And I'm just going to use my finger to apply this all over my eyelids and getting near the brow bone. Now I'm taking a Morphe M433 brush, and this is just a large blending brush, and I'm going to dip into the shade Oliver right there, and I'm going to use this as my transition shade. And I'm going to place this on my crease, and then I'm going to blend it upwards near the brow bone. As you can see, it almost kind of blends into my skin color, but I do build it up a little bit, and applying this sort of color first kind of gives you more dimension when you apply a darker shadow later to your crease. So I'm just going to go ahead and blend this out and try to get as much pigment as I can. Now I'm taking a Morphe M321 brush, and this is a smaller brush, sort of like a crease brush, and I'm going to dip into the color Hue, and this is just the darkest brown that they have in the palette. Then I'm going to apply this directly onto my crease. I'm first just going to go ahead and apply color to try to get some pigment going. And then I'm going to follow the natural curve of my eyelid to place the shadow directly on my crease. And I'm going to also place it sort of at the top of my inner lid and then the top of my outer lid. And I'm first just building up the pigment. And then once I have enough pigment, I'm going to take my time blending that out so that we don't have any harsh lines. So for now, I'm just focusing on getting enough pigment going on. Don't worry about the lid because we will be cutting our crease today. And so far this shadow is performing very nicely. It's very nice and smooth and blendable, and I don't have any patchiness issues going on at all. Now that I have enough pigment, I'm going to go ahead and start doing circular motions upwards with my brush, getting near the brow bone, just dragging the shadow up a little bit higher and also making sure that we don't have any harsh lines. I'm also going to take the tip of my brush and sort of extend that color in the outer corner so that we have that nice shape. To cut my crease today, I'm using the LA Girl Pro Conceal HD High Definition Concealer, and this is in the shade Flat White Corrector. And I'm going to place some on the back of my hand, and then I'm using a Morphe flat concealer brush. There's no number on the brush, but it's just a flat concealer brush. And the way that I cut my crease is I place some of that white concealer on my lid. Then I'm going to look up, and wherever that concealer lands on top, I'll be using that as a guide to cut the rest of my crease. And again, I'm also going to follow the natural curve of my eye. To do this, I just use that original line that I placed on top as a guide, but just follow the natural curve of your eyelid. Then I'm also going to use the tip of my brush to sort of create a wing effect of the outer corner of my eye, and that's just going to look really nice and flattering. And then once I have that going on, I'm going to go ahead and make sure that that corrector, the white corrector, is nice and even, and just make sure that it looks nice. Now I'm taking a Morphe M167 brush, and this is just a large lid brush, but it is pretty flat. And I'm going in with that beautiful blue color Dami. And I'm just going to place this all over my lid wherever I cut my crease. So I'm just going to take my time building up that pigment. And this shadow did perform really nicely. I was expecting it to be patchy, but it was not patchy at all. It was nice and pigmented, and it just really moved really nice and smoothly, and I didn't have any issues with it. Now I'm taking my finger and dipping into that beautiful shimmer coffee, and this has some nice specks of like pink in it, and I just thought it would be perfect with that blue. And I'm just going to really try to use my finger to apply it all over my lid wherever I cut my crease. And I did have sort of a hard time getting enough pigment going on, or not really enough pigment, just it wasn't moving around too much. It was acting like a very gritty glitter. So I first decided to go ahead and take my time with my finger and get as much pigment as I could. Then I went ahead and cleaned off my lid brush from earlier, and I also went ahead and wet that brush with a setting spray and dip into the shimmer again just to get a better application. And I did think that this helped a lot, so I'm just going to take my time with this brush to see if I could get it to work a little bit better. And it did work. It still wasn't like the best application, but it did make it a little bit better. But I think maybe I did wet the brush just a little too much. So in the end, I decided to go back with my finger. The brush helped, and then just to get a more even application, I went in with my finger and applied a little bit more of that shimmer in the spots that were missing it. And I do like the way that it looked in the end, but it took a little bit of work, and I do feel like for next time I know what to do with this shimmer now. Now I'm taking the crease brush from earlier, and I'm going to dip into the shade Oliver, and I'm going to apply it to my lower lash line just to sort of apply it as a base, because I want to go in with the shimmer next, and I just wanted to see if I could help the shimmer stick better. The shimmer that I decided to use was the dark green shimmer Dean. This shimmer just calls out to me. That's one of my favorite colors for shimmers, and I was expecting it to be a lot more pigmented. It sadly wasn't as pigmented as I wanted it to be, and I really took my time trying to build that up. I do see a little bit of shimmer there, but it's not the best pigment. But then I decided to go in with Lewis on top, which looks a little bit darker and more brown toned, just to build it up a little bit. And I like the way that it looked, but I wish that there was more pigment in that shimmer. Now I'm going in with that beautiful champagne shimmer Eat Eye, and I'm going to apply this to my inner corner, and I think that's going to be it for shadow, and then I'll be back to show you guys the final look. Alright guys, so this is how the look turned out. What do you guys think? In the end, I do love how the look turned out, and I really just went for colors that were speaking to me since I first saw this palette. There's not a lot of brightness going on in here. You have really pretty shimmers, but I just needed to use that blue matte color as well as the green. And overall, I feel like I understand this palette a little bit better now. It just seemed like it wasn't swatching well, it wasn't working well, but I've come to realize that you have two different formula of shimmers in here, like two different formulas. Some are really creamy, and then some have more specks of glitter, so you have like a grittier texture. So that's the reason why I was having a hard time with this shimmer right here. But in the end, it did work out. But I cannot blame that specific, I can't blame the whole palette for it, because I did notice that some of the other shimmers are a little bit more, they go on smoother, they're a little bit more satin, like a satin finish. So keep that in mind. Not every shimmer works the same, but it's because there's different formulas of shimmers in here. But overall, I did like how the look turned out. The mattes performed really nicely, and I was really trying to test how patchy or not patchy it was, and it was not patchy at all. And overall, I did enjoy it, and I do feel like I understand the palette a little bit better now. So I do want to do a second video creating a different look. But in the end, I do like the palette, and now I have it in my collection. So I'm not going to complain about this specific shimmer that doesn't work so well for me. I'm just going to try to work with it. But I think I might end up falling more in love with it as I work with it. Not every brand's formula is the same, so... But all in all, I do like how the look turned out today. But I hope that you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, go ahead and give it a big thumbs up for me. Don't forget to subscribe before you go, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye, guys.